Hey everybody, it's Kenya Rutland, co-founder and head of strategy and growth at Life Canvas. And today, like we've done many times, we have the opportunity to be engaging with some awesome people, engaging with someone that I think has a great story to share. And when we think about Life Canvas, we talk about showcasing your real story. And by that, we mean we might know people for what they do, how we see them, and how we engage with them. But today we're going to go behind the curtain a little bit more and learn more about this phenomenal person. I'm so happy that we have been invited into the home of my dear peer here, Leroy Watkins of Viking Sports. And what we're going to do is engage in some conversations and learn more about him and the person that's behind the brand. But more importantly, get an opportunity to know like what drives him, how he works and how he sees things, etc. So Leroy, thank you for having us. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you for letting me do this. I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, maybe I'll do this. I think, first off, we've been trying to do this for a while, so I'm super happy that we're here. And again, thank you for hosting us. One of the first questions I always like to ask people when I'm privileged to be on this side of the camera with them, it's just like, who are you? We all describe ourselves in different ways, but who's Leroy Watkins?
Man, that's a good question. Yeah, so I'm an entrepreneurial guy, hardworking, dedicated. I think I'm hilarious at times. I'm a dad. I'm a wonderful husband. And I really, really like working with kids. I like trying to empower the next generation. So that's like my life's mission right now. And that's who I am. And I always wear a Viking hoodie.
All right. And the Viking hoodie looks good. So maybe we'll be able to steal some gear or get some gear out of this conversation as well. But the Viking hoodie looks great. I love you named the thing about empowering the next generation. And it's on that note that as I was preparing for today, one thing I realized is you have this awesome name, Leroy. As we were talking earlier, I was sharing with you that in my Georgia roots, I have a Lucius, I have an Eddie, I have a Leroy in my family. But I was wondering if you could tell us maybe like, what's the story behind your name? Like, how'd you get it? Does it carry value in the family? Tell me more about Leroy. How'd you get the name?
Yeah, so the name Leroy, the story is very unceremonious. I am the third, so I was just named after my dad, who's named after his dad, and I have no idea why my great-great-grandmother would have named my grandfather Leroy, but that's the name that was given to him. So back in the generation, how it happens, Dad got named Leroy Jr., and then my dad named me Leroy the third, and now that my son is Leroy the fourth, we have this legacy thing going on right now. So he has to do one better than dad. He has all the pressure of the previous Leroys. There's a show called Avatar, Last Airbender. And so like the Avatar has all the past avatars in their body. So I'm like, son, you have all the Leroys to help guide you forward, like Simba and the Lion King. So I guess that's the story behind it, but I hope there's a Leroy the fifth. There's no pressure. I will create a trust fund and deny him it if there is a Leroy the fifth, but hey, it's his life to lead.
So, perfect example of what you said earlier already about being hilarious, because I think that is funny, man. I was going to ask you that exact question, which is like, is he feeling the pressure or thinking like, oh man, just out of curiosity, we're having a conversation. Did you feel the pressure? Oh, it was a lot. Your son was going to be Leroy.
Well, I knew it was a lot. My son's going to be Leroy, but my wife didn't know it was a lot. He was going to be Leroy. And we also didn't know the gender of the kid when he was swimming around in Jen's belly. So I remember having that conversation like, hey, names, what are you thinking? She's like, I think we should honor the family tradition and go with Leroy. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. I was like, you get to choose all the other kids' names. If this is a boy, it's all you. And that's what happened. We had two other kids.
That's awesome. Well, I think that's a beautiful thing. And it's great when your partner in life is like, I can get on board with that, because if you got to have that tough conversation to something, in our household, the firstborn's name starts with the letter B. All the other kids and dogs, animals, etc., all letter K's. So I was allowed to kind of have a little say in that. And then we did a unique naming thing in that we went, the kids have middle names that are tied to family members and things like that. But there's some commonality there. So I love it. Well, you told us about who you are. You gave us some insights there, and we had a little fun with the naming thing. What I was wondering is, I've met you in the context of Viking Sports, which is, tell us a little bit about like your life trajectory. Like where are you from? Maybe like any schooling, education that you find valuable, and then maybe any career track or career pathing that kind of got you to where you are today.
No, man, see, that's like a loaded question, but I'm gonna do my best to keep it in a nice, concise manner. So I'm from New Jersey. I'm the oldest of four kids. Went to the school called Montclair Kimberly Academy back in New Jersey, where I was an excellent soccer player. Got a scholarship to play soccer at Northeastern, where I studied finance and insurance, and also started my entrepreneurial path. Because when you're in school studying something that's really traditional, like finance or accounting, Northeastern, you get to do these co-op jobs. And these co-op jobs, for me, with my personality, outgoing guy, can't sit still, really tough to be in a cubicle. So I was like, all right, I don't want to do finance or accounting when I grow up. And I like this other side job that I had. I'm not going to get into details about what it was because it's of questionable legality. Black boxes, which is okay, but I knew that I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to do something different. So I found this job on Craigslist. It was a direct marketing company. And direct marketing company, I didn't know what that meant. Go for the second interview, and I'm with this guy named Mike servicing the Domino's Pizza client in North Chelmsford. And like we drive to North Chelmsford, he gets out of his car, knocks on the door for a house. I'm like, what's going on here? Why are we at a house? And some guy answers it, and Mike sells this guy $300 worth of Domino's Pizza coupons. I was like, what just happened? What just happened? And Mike explained to me that you start at the bottom of this triangle, and then you get to the top of this triangle, you get your own office. And I was really excited about this. I told my parents about it. My dad's like, son, that's a pyramid scheme. I was like, I want to do a pyramid scheme, Dad. This is my dream job in life. So I do it. I do it for 2 years. My parents are super disappointed in me. Like I talk about this in another story somewhere else. My parents are super disappointed in me. I'm Leroy the Third. My dad went to Yale, attorney, he could try cases at the Supreme Court, super successful. Like all of his brothers and sisters, like lawyers, doctors, politicians, super successful people. And then there was me, the next generation, just doing like the scum of the scum kind of a job. So I do this job and I get to the top of the pyramid. It took me, it's very stressful, very emotional journey. It really helped like make me the guy who I am, because you're knocking on doors and you're trying to sell. Like there's no one telling me that I have to do it. Like I want to get good at it, and to get good at it, you had to overcome a lot of your own personal weaknesses. Like you can't say I didn't sell because it rained. Like fine, you could say that, but then you don't have money to buy your own food. So like I learned how to like not make excuses. I got people telling me no 90 times a day. I did it for 2 years. So when people say no to me now, doesn't mean anything to me. If someone gives me bad news, there's no bad news that's worse than what I got knocking on doors. So it's like entrepreneurial boot camp. So I get to the top of the pyramid. Instead of opening up my office, I start a company called My Bike. And I was 24 years old at the time when I did this. Told my parents, quit the pyramid scheme. They were so happy. And then I start My Bike. And my parents are like, why are you starting a company? Just get like a regular job. Stop making life so hard. Me and your mother are supporting you financially. I'm like, this is my calling. So I start My Bike. And it was fine, but I wanted to like not ask them for money anymore. So I looked for a regular job. One of my good friends had a t-shirt company. He was also my old coach in Northeastern. He connected me with Mike, who owned Viking. And I became Mike's soccer guy. And then he taught me all the workings of Viking sports. And he sold Viking to a guy named Dennis. And he's like, Leroy, Dennis is my company. It'd be great if you became the general manager, because he has no idea like what he's actually doing. I'm like, Mike, you're my boy, I got you. So I become GM of Viking with this guy named Zach. And me and Zach, we already ran Viking together, and we started running Viking for Dennis. And then like I have, this generation calls it Riz. I had like 100 Riz. And a nanny dropped off some kids. I started talking to the nanny. We got engaged, we got married, and then me and my wife were expecting our first child. And I'm like, all right, we're poor. I don't know I'm gonna buy diapers or anything like that. And life hit me real hard. So I was like, Dennis, you own Viking right now. I wanna keep doing Viking, but I'm gonna get investors for my bike company, and I had a bike company, this is a whole nother story. I'm gonna get investors for my bike company, and then he's like, all right, that sounds great. I was like, but I quit. He goes, why you quit? I was like, I want my child thinking their dad's a CEO of a startup, not like a soccer coach. So he's like, you can't quit. How about you buy Viking Sports? So I bought Viking Sports, which is really hard to do when you have zero money. And my Zach, who I did Viking with, I was like, hey Zach, opportunity to buy Viking, let's do it together. And he's like, sure. I was like, Dennis wants all this money for it. He goes, I got it. He's like, I got my half. I was like, okay, I'll get my half now. I have no money. I have zero money. Like, I'm living whatever, like paycheck to paycheck, plus asking like my wife's parents and my parents for money. Whatever that is, that's where I was in life. And so I talked to my dad. He's like, I'm not going to give you money, but I'll connect you with the CFO at my law firm. So working a deal out with him, all fell through. And I was like, Zach, can't buy Viking. And I'm getting severe stress, neck pain, can't breathe right. And he's like, dude, like we gotta buy Viking, like we have to do this together. He's like, I'll come up with the money for both of us and we'll just pay my mom back because she's gonna pay for this. I was like, cool. So May of 2011, bought Viking Sports. And what we bought was a private recreation company that did like after school sports programs and summer camps in Brookline. And then very slowly over time, I was able to grow it to something pretty big and incredible. We had 8 employees when I bought the company, so now we're at like 100 employees. We operate throughout the state of Massachusetts. We're franchising, so we have a guy in Denver, we have a guy in southern New Hampshire, We have deals with professional sports teams. We do work with school districts doing their after-school programs. We do team building events for Fortune 500 companies and for small companies. We do activations at events. So like we're like the fan experience for some of these things. Did it for the U.S. Open when it was in Brookline, which is really cool. And that's what we're doing. That's the story of Viking sports.
Wow, man. Well, I mean, there are so many nuggets in that story. Thinking about Yale for starters, one of my coachees is alone. A lot of clients that I work with are based in New Haven, so it's just funny hearing that connection. And then you mentioned the finance piece as well. I am degreed actually in finance, business administration with a focus in accounting, and similar to you, realized that I didn't want to work in a space where I was in the bubble. I wanted to go and audit, but I was scared that I was going to be the mean auditor and people weren't going to like me. So I was like, I want to get out of that space. So comical. By the way, where in Jersey, or as they say, what exit?
Northern New Jersey, Montclair. Okay. Do you know this place?
Montclair State. Is there Montclair State?
There's Montclair State.
Montclair State. I had a client that actually did what you're doing for sports and programming. They did for leadership development for students, and Montclair State hosted one of their events once. So one of the staff members of that org was there. So small world, small world. Real quick, in wrapping the question that we asked you about like your career trajectory, small shameless plug moment, Viking sports. You know, people always say like, I could go here to get somebody to do this. I can get somebody to do this. I want to do a fan experience. I can go hire this person. Why Viking sports? Give us what's the nugget? Why should we come to you?
Because of me and the people that work at Viking Sports. You figure you go to any other competitor or do any other experience, what makes it a really great experience, a really bad experience, it's not the stuff, it's the people. So the people don't know how to engage you the right way. They don't have like the correct humor. They don't know the correct vernacular to be amazing. It's not the same thing. So the people that work with me at Viking Sports, like if I'm gonna hire one person, I'll interview 50 people. And I find that person and then I teach them the Viking way. And I need these people to be like self-starters, independent thinkers, problem solvers, all that stuff, as well as all the other leadership and cool personalities. So I don't really hire people who have done sports. Like, I don't care about that part. I want people who have lived life and know how to live it well and can share that experience to the people. So if a person's doing an event, they're like, I've been to a concert, I know how to have fun, and they know how to do it. So that's why someone should do Viking sports.
I love it. I love it. And I'm so glad you shared that. So we got you. We got your name, heard a little bit about your career trajectory and how you got here. Awesome to hear the story of how you've been able to take this like story of like grinding and create this awesome business. So I'm proud to say that as a fellow peer, neighbor, etc. I didn't realize how big you all were, which tells me how great you were with your task and your work. By the way, sidebar, Northeastern happens to be a client that I work with. I love Northeastern. So the co-op program that you referenced, they're globally known for now as they've expanded all these campuses. So good stuff, good stuff. And so you told me a little bit about like your upbringing and things like that loosely. But when you think about like Leroy in Jersey, you know, you in Montclair, you're growing up. What was it like growing up? What was it like for you growing up?
Growing up in Jersey, it was great. My parents are loving people. My siblings are all wonderful kids. But the Leroy that's outgoing that you see right now, I was super, super shy. Super shy. My parents would be like, hey, you did good in your academics, but the teacher says you don't participate. Like, they think you're selected to be mute. So I never talked. I did have some close friends, but I was like a very shy kid who was exceptional at playing soccer. So soccer was my escape. Because my parents weren't well-rounded individuals, I also played basketball, did baseball, did all the stuff that kids would do, ride my bikes, get lost, all that good stuff. But growing up, there's a strong focus on academics because my dad's side of the family really big on going to Harvard, going to Yale, where my uncles and aunts went to school. And there was a big focus on just like trying to become a mover and shaker in the corporate world. So that pressure is always hanging over like me and my siblings. Grades would come out like, oh, it's a straight A's? I mean, no. Where is he going to school? Is he going to Yale like dad? No. Is he gonna go to Grind for high school like dad went to? No. So there's always that pressure. But at the same time, the family's very loving, very supportive. And me and my cousins and brothers and sisters, we all get along great.
You mentioned your family, so it sounds like you come from a really solid family. What about sports? You mentioned being a good soccer player. Well, actually, you said a really good soccer player. I don't know if the word was even good. It might have been good. I'm good, just ask me. I'm good, just ask me, right? I believe you. But talk to me about sports. Like, how did they shape you? And maybe, just kind of like your upbringing with that. How did sports specifically show up for you?
Yeah, very competitive. I'm a very competitive guy. All my siblings are all competitive. My sister captained the crew team at USC in Los Angeles. Brother played basketball over in college. My youngest brother ran track at Northeastern. So really competitive family. We love sports. And the way sports shaped me is you learn that work ethic. Because if you want to be better than the next person, you got to work harder than the next person. So we would me and my siblings would constantly play, push each other. We were all very good at we're all just very good. So us playing with each other, it's like LeBron playing with MJ, playing with like Steph. Like that was us three. We were my older siblings. My youngest one, he was like 5 years younger than me, so he doesn't really count. He wasn't involved in that stuff. Don't tell him I said that.
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, we might have to edit that out. Maybe not.
He knows.
Yeah.
And so it really taught me like the value of having teammates, like really being self-driven, motivated, persevering, how to win, how to lose, like sacrifice, all through sports.
I love it. I will say, I'm an only child. My mother's only child, I would say, but I grew up with siblings who we all pushed each other to. The boys specifically. My cousins were into different things, the women in my family, some athletes, but I remember that. So that push, I can only imagine what that must have been like being in the same household. I do have to call you on one thing you just referenced though. You said it was like LeBron playing with MJ and Steph. Where's Kobe in this? I mean, you left my guy out. I mean, like Kobe doesn't get any reference in the family scenario.
See, the thing about like this situation right now, there's like 14 cameras pointing at me, these hot lights, so I panicked.
Oh, okay. So you know Kobe belongs in there. You panicked and left him out, is what you're saying.
That's just a patch of joy.
That's
why I'm wearing these colors.
Okay, all right. Well, see, I can give you that with the jersey component there. I just had to banter with you a little bit because, I just feel like Kobe got left out of a conversation. Maybe you would have said Kobe, MJ, LeBron, but I mean, that's just my thoughts. But anyway, no, awesome. Really cool to see how sports played out, and clearly the competition's there. I'm going to jump ahead, and come back. How does the same drive that you saw in sports, how do you see that in your kids? You referenced earlier having kids, but like, how do you see that showing up with your kids?
Like, how are they competitive?
Are they competitive? Like that drive, we're in the same household. It drove you. Your parents, it sounds like education was a priority. The rigor of education, but marrying that rigor to also like what we do when we play. You strike me as somebody like, if you're going to play it, play it. If you're not going to play it, don't play it. I'm not sure how you would describe it, but I tell my kids that, like, we don't go out and slack and go, I just played. No, you're going to play. But how does it show up? Do you see you and your siblings and your kids when you're watching your kids play or interact?
Yes and no. Me and my sibling, we were all 1 year apart, except for my youngest brother. It was like a 3-year gap or 2-year gap with him. So my kids are all 2 years apart, so they don't have like the same. This whole generation is wired differently. They don't go ride their bikes, get lost in the woods, build a fire. They don't do any of that kind of stuff anymore. Maybe that's my fault as dad, but I do try to keep the competitive environment because I think you need that motivation. Yeah. So all 3 of my kids have a soccer game at 11 o'clock. They're like, Dad, what game are you gonna go to? I'm like, I'm gonna go to the game for the kid that is gonna be good today. They're like, Dad, you didn't go to my game last week. I'm like, well, you should have been practicing more. Maybe we'll go to your game next week.
So talk about pressure. After I bring my A game because I want Dad to be on the sideline. Nope, he's not here. That means I'm not playing him. Oh man. Well, I know some of our daughters are interacting well in school together, and I'm saying Mia's a beast. So apparently she's I don't know how many of her games are at, but it sounds.
I've had a bunch of her games. She's a beast. She works hard. Yeah, she puts in the work and the time.
One of the recent times I saw her, she was down there getting the mail or something like that. She was in her soccer uniform, so it's good stuff there. Let me shift you back then to you. One last question on you. We talked about your upbringing, your family, the sports, etc. If I said, Leroy, like we're sitting here in June 2025, what fuels you today? Like, what's your driving force? Like, you have parents and the siblings, and you were growing, etc. But now today, like, what's your fuel? Like, what keeps you going? What fires you up?
So I'm not like a new entrepreneur. I've been doing this for a while. So I remember when I got my first big deal, that was exciting. When I got my first big check, that was exciting. When I would hire my first couple employees, that was exciting. But now, like that stuff, like I'm desensitized to it. You can say, hey, Leroy, here's a gigantic check to do this huge project. I'm like, okay, are you a cool person? I'll do it with you. If you're like not the coolest person, I'm like, you seem difficult. I'm not gonna work with you. So like that stuff doesn't move the needle, doesn't get any emotion stirring in me anymore. So now what really gets me going is I like teaching people how to do well, and I like teaching people how to like really thrive into the future. So people who work for me, I'm like, hey, if you're still working with me after 5 years, what am I doing wrong? Like, how come you haven't started your own business yet? Like, what can I do to get you out of this Viking shirt and starting your own business, your own photography company, whatever it is? Because when we interviewed, you said you had all these big dreams and aspirations. And here you are, coaching 5-year-old soccer on a Saturday. Like, where did I go wrong? I was like, I like you. I don't want to fire you, but you're not motivated. So you got to do something better. So now what really excites me is we have a franchise, North Massachusetts, Southern New Hampshire. And he's like, Leroy, I have a new deal like in Peabody, Massachusetts. And I said, that gave me like the goosebumps. I got really excited because I remember that feeling when I got my first client. And he's like, I have another opportunity in Exeter, New Hampshire. I'm like, that really gets me going. Like, this is really, really great. So my own personal accomplishments, I don't care about awards, I don't care about any of that kind of stuff. It's just seeing other people succeed through my training and through all that stuff.
Wow, man, what a nugget. We got to bank that nugget. I love the nugget of, you're still here, what did I do wrong? I freaking love that, man, because I think that, even the fueling piece you talk about, you got me fired over here. I have one of my staff members who I hired. She said it in this weird way, like, we can't quit each other. Like, we don't have a project we'll do here and there, but I won't hire her for major projects because she needs to be focused on building her own business. But I love the way you said that. Just out of curiosity, what does it sound like when you're actually, when I'm leaving at that 5-year window? So like, I'm the employee that you've done something right. Hey boss, I got this new opportunity. What does that sound like? Like, is there a conversation that you have with people when you know they were fueled, they were motivated, they are gone? Like, yeah. Is there a conversation or anything you say in those moments, or are there any words you put on yourself to kind of go like, oh, look at, like I said, the hens, the birds and the babies out in the nest or whatever it is. Any thought, any metaphor for you like that?
Well, I don't so the thing with me is I'm a relationship guy. So once they leave the Viking nest, we're still grabbing coffee, we're grabbing lunch, I bring them to a Revs game, bring them to a Sox game to watch them lose to the Yankees. We're doing all that kind of stuff. So like the relationship's still there, but now it's changed where I'm like, hey, remember that time you were doing that bounce house event and like the bounce house was like filled with kids who were picking the nose and being annoying? Like, how well did that prepare you for you being the athletic director of Hopkinton now? Like, now you have these other kids in this bounce house. Like, Leroy, yeah, you're right. It's so cool. Like, I saw you did that situation. Now I could manage it in my situation. So like, it's an ongoing change of relationship, employee, employer. Now we're colleagues, friends, and now we support each other and that kind of stuff.
What's next for Viking sports?
I want Viking to have global domination, but I have 3 kids, I have a great wife, and I don't feel like traveling the world or different parts of the country to like, oversee Viking. What if someone calls out sick in like Minnesota? I don't have to like worry about that stuff. So we're franchising Viking. We have a couple of franchises already, and that's great. But 5 years down the line, I hope to have a bunch of people that have worked for me here in Massachusetts that I've empowered and taught how to have, I promoted them to ownership. So I'm able to travel the country to help these people, watch their success, watch how they build their own wealth and all that kind of stuff. I do have 3 kids, and I think it's good that my kids see their dad actually works. So hopefully I can use Viking to teach them and to groom them in leadership skills. Maybe one of my kids takes over the Viking mantle to create some sort of legacy that I can't foresee, because I bought Viking from a guy. He couldn't see what I'm doing. Maybe one of my kids can do something that I can't see because I'm in this Viking bubble. So that's what I imagine the future being like in 5 years. Obviously I want to be retired, but like I'm go, and I imagine that if I retired, I would still want to be doing something. So we'll always hold on to Viking. We'll let it just do its thing, and we'll let it organically grow and let the people do their thing.
Love it. I like the part about kids. Comically speaking, I don't think we've talked about this, but I have 4 kids, and my older 2, I was divorced, unfortunately, so remarried younger. But my older 2, I have my oldest in med school, and my oldest works for me. My son, firstborn, works for me in a creative company. The comical piece is none of them want anything to do with our other practice. Live Canvas, maybe, but the other practice are like, yeah, no, not remotely interested. So I love that you're thinking ahead, though, because the lessons, and even what you referenced, not the job, you referenced the lessons and the characteristics they can develop. Maybe I just learned something from you, which is hone in on the characteristics they're going to build. Not, do you want to be a consultant? That is actually, they're like, no, I don't want to be a consultant. So I love that. Any thoughts on aspirations for the family in general? And we're peeling back the onion, right? We're learning more about the story behind this awesome man, Leroy. Any thoughts on like where the family is? I mean, you talk about the business, you talk about you, but any thoughts for the family?
But my family, I just want them to be happy and healthy. Like I don't want to tell them what to do when they grow up because they are their own person. They're still younger. Right now, at the time of this video, we have 10, 12, and almost 14. I don't know if they're gonna meet some kid in college who's gonna convince them to get like all these face tattoos and travel the world but I have no idea what the world holds. But my hope is that like all the lessons I'm teaching them now to make good decisions or better decisions or smart decisions, like hopefully those like take root, and when they're faced with a challenging situation, they make the best decision in the moment for themselves, and that they want to do something to help the world. I don't care what you are when you grow up, as long as you are making the world a better place than when you arrive. That's all I care about. It's like my parents wanted me to be a lawyer or a doctor. I don't do any of that stuff right now. I own Viking Sports and I do all this stuff to help kids, help communities, all that stuff. It's like one of you might follow me and do that. So one of you guys might be a judge. One of you might be some famous influencer who is like empowering young ladies. I'm saying young ladies because my daughter's gonna be the influencer, if it's anyone, who empowers young ladies to do all this great stuff and really maybe the first female president. I don't know, but I want them to be who they are and just carve out their own path in life. And then me and my wife hopefully could do lots of vacations to travel to the kids to watch their success.
Awesome, and I love that nugget you got Jen in. Smart man. You're a smart man. You. I know she heard that, but like the vacation is part. No labor, no work. You just get a chance to do this. So, all right. So I'm going to shift to. We got a lot of good stuff I think here. So I'm going to shift to like a little bit more of now allowing you to free flow with us, right? So we're talking to an entrepreneur here. You have life lessons. I picked up a few nuggets myself as I'm sitting here. I like to think sometimes when I have the opportunity to showcase the story of someone, like there might just be things that might show up in your world and might be nuggets that you would be willing to share with folks. So I'm going to start with one that I feel a commonality with, like, right? I think we both are high energy people. Interestingly, our backgrounds are different, similar. Parent influence, I think, is very strong in both worlds. I would say another commonality is we both are Black men. So I would just want to ask you, when I think about the current climate, I'm a dad, I'm a coach of kids, I run a consulting firm and this practice at Live Canvas. I feel like I walk into spaces and I almost feel like there was this, you talking about Riz earlier, or whatever they call it, right? I feel like I have a responsibility of just really showcasing that here's who I am and maybe the stereotypes that people might have. I don't own having to break them, but like, I don't want people assuming things about my boys. Any thoughts for you, like in the current climate where things are so polarizing, especially across identities sometimes? Like just thoughts that might pop in your head of like, hey, here's some nuggets that I ask people to think about, or ways to make sure that you feel respected and your boys are, your kids are respected, and whatever, all your kids are respected for that matter. But any thoughts on that? I know it's a little loaded in the question, but I'm always just trying to get at like, just when you think about your identity and what people might see, sometimes they might look beyond all the awesomeness and minimize you to what they see. Any thoughts on just like what you would say to folks who might do that, or maybe why you would encourage them not to do that?
Yeah, so it's a great question. With my kids, I tell them like, just so you know, you might not be aware, but everyone judges a book by its cover all the time. They know who you are, what you're all about before you open your mouth, before you say a word, before you even shake a hand. They already judge you. So you need to put your best cover on and be the person you want people to see. Even though who you are on the inside is authentic, it's great, it's accepting, it's everything. So me being who I am, my image, I could wear a suit all the time, I could wear jeans all the time, but I purposely have this playful, laid back hoodie look. Because there are people who look like me, who go into different environments like corporate America, or go into like an impoverished neighborhood, or just go into like a really ritzy, affluent neighborhood. And so if you go into one neighborhood, maybe you put on the suit. If you go to another thing, maybe you wear the jeans. If you're another one, maybe you're wearing the sweats and the hoodies. So I am singularly the same person every single time. I go to meetings with a backwards hat. If people don't like that, I'm sorry. But once they see what I'm all about and the services I offer and how after meeting me, their life will become better, all those perceived stereotypes melt away, and then they get to know me. They're like, oh, you're from New Jersey? Oh, you went to Northeastern? My dad went to Northeastern. You play soccer? Who's your soccer team? And then you start to connect with the person. So I tell my kids, present yourself how you want to be presented. If you want to look like a slob, look like a slob, but be able to back it up with like impeccable character and impeccable personality, so that once the superficial facade is broken, people actually appreciate the person sitting across from them.
Man, what a powerful nugget, brother. I love that. And I like where the premise of just being authentically you and being comfortable staying true to who you are. Because I visualize you sitting in a meeting with suits who are like, we are looking for a consultant to deliver this team development, and you got your hat backwards. And it's like, that's our guy. I love it. I love it. I love it. Cool. All right, let's go to the second one, the second nugget. And that nugget, by the way, is a nugget that I want. I want to have that be there. Like for our young people, I think they know you. Many of them have seen you. I think that's the type of clip that we need Framingham kids really, well, kids in general, really grasping. You can be you, but back it up with an impeccable character. Don't be a slop that's a jerk. Because that doesn't really run there. So I want to go to the second piece then. We're in your home. I've seen some beautiful photos. Jen will allow me. I took some pictures of the creativity that you have with the food pictures, and then some photos over here also on the side. We'll maybe use that for some B-roll. I'll just let you see what we got first. But if I said to you, fatherhood, right? You're a dad. You mentioned that earlier. You know, your dad of 3. It sounds like your dad was an influence or is an influence in your life as well. If I said, what responsibility do you feel like you have in your own household, and then also maybe to the community at large as a father? But Viking is known for doing such great work, and for some kids, the things that you do, that might be the things that they might remember quite a bit. And that's one, like, do you see a fatherly role almost in the work of Viking, like setting the tone for that? Any thoughts on that? Like just your role as a father, your role as running a company, as a dad. Any thoughts on how fatherhood shows up?
Yeah, I think my father shows up like all over the place. With my employees, some of my employees call me dad. My kids call me dad. I go to a school, do an event, they're like, oh, can you be my dad? So I feel like the responsibility of, like, you figure a dad is someone you look up to, someone who won't do anything like to harm you, someone that can support you and nurture you, and like all these positive, always wants your best. That's what a dad wants. So like with my kids, when my kids see me, they feel safe. When I go to their school, they like have like a nice like a puppy, like their ears go back and like their tail starts wiggling. They're very happy to see me. When I go to a school, like kids, they could be in the principal's office about to get yelled at, and I'm like, knock knock. They're like, Mr. Watkins, and so like what I represent to them is something really fun, supportive. Like I'm not there to be your enemy. I'm like your Santa Claus. I'm there only for good things. And with my staff, like I'll show up and they'll be on their phone and then they'll put their phone down really quickly. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, what do you think you just hid from me? So you could just be like, hey boss, I'm checking the time, I'm checking the schedule. I was like, why are you doing that? I was like, hey, let's go grab some coffee. Let me just teach you all the things that I know, because you're not fooling anybody. They're like, all right, dad, all right. And so like, I feel a responsibility, but like generally that's just who I am as a person. Like dad would take kids in Montclair and bring them to Harlem for basketball tournaments. My grandfather would take kids from the city and send them to prep schools for better opportunities. So like in a way, I'm like my dad and my grandfather, and hopefully my kids like learn this skill and see what I'm doing and replicate it for themselves.
Love it, man. Those Leroys are pretty powerful men. This young man is here. He better step his game up. He better be ready, man. I love that. I love that. And I love the way you roll that into just like in all aspects of it. I gave you a little choppy question, but you really crushed that in the way you responded to that. And I like that. And I think that that's got to be really cool to have it be there. Sidebar for a second. How do you respond to, can you be my dad?
I'm like, aw. Oh, thanks. Yeah. I love you. Oh, thanks.
I had a kid once I was coaching, and he came to my house, and it was really comical. Mom was having some challenges, and the kid actually hung out with us and then asked could he sleep over, and I didn't think anything of it. Oh, he's just going to stay over. And then the next day, he's like, can you be my new dad? And I was like, oh, this just got weird, bro. No. And I just wasn't sure, like, when did I just inherit him? Like, whoa, no, you're going home now. No. But I mean, everybody has their stuff, but it goes back to my question, which is sometimes you're playing the role like a father figure that somebody might not have in their life. And it's not your responsibility, but I do feel like it is our responsibility, right? To just, worst case scenario, it's making sure we set them on the right path. And it sounds like the men in your life, man, have been some awesome guys who just, saw the need to be able to pay it forward. Maybe a third and last of my nuggets, and we'll try to chop these to be able to tell the story of you as a man of color and just really think about that character building for kids. You as a father figure that people might see, and whether they call you dad or they're interacting with you, we see that piece. My last bucket, you said something earlier. You're not new at this. You bought this firm in 2011. I mean, you get almost 15 years in. I mean, you were doing entrepreneurial work before that. I mean, like those Domino's coupons, man, that must have been a grind. I mean, that's a grind. And I don't know if any other people listening who have done pyramid schemes before, or just multi-level marketing. That work's a grind, man. I knew a guy who every year he would come in with a new container. This you got to buy it this year, man. This is the special stuff. Then next year he'd have a new one. This is the special stuff. I'm like, well, what happened to the stuff you were selling last year? But the guy had a grind, and he would just bring the new thing to his customers, and people would buy it. So, I mean, you were grinding. That's entrepreneurship. But let's go to that piece, that entrepreneurship piece. What if I said, Leroy Watkins, we're going to go back to the past, and you're going to give future Leroy Watkins, you, not your son, but yourself, advice. But in a sense of building the entrepreneur that you were evolving, because we were always evolving as entrepreneurs. Any thoughts on maybe 2 or 3 nuggets you'd give yourself of advice? Maybe lessons learned that if you would go back and give yourself advice today of things you've learned, what would they be? What would some of those nuggets be? Well, we'll frame them as if you were telling other entrepreneurs.
I would tell myself, do the daughter sale pyramid scheme, because that will change your life. So many life lessons you have learned doing that. But besides that, I would tell myself, don't be afraid of challenges. Don't take the easy path, because there's like the nice concrete paved path, and then there's like the dirt trail. Both lead to something, but the dirt trail, sometimes the risk and returns is so much greater. So try to go down, because you'll have all these life lessons during that dirt path. When you get through the jungle, you'll be stronger, your feet will be callous, you'll be immune from all the bug bites, and you're just gonna be a better, more well-seasoned individual than if you go this very well-defined path. You're not gonna have any challenges, you're gonna have a challenge outside of this path, and you're just gonna fall flat in your face. It's gonna be the thing that's gonna be the hill you die on, the thing you can't overcome. But this one, that's like a speed bump for this one. So just do the challenge, do the hard thing, get through the hard thing, and then quit after you get through it. Don't quit during the journey, because that's just a waste of time. Too much time invested. I think that's what I would tell myself.
Awesome. Bug bites and all. Huh? Hey, that's going to be the project over there, man. That bug bites.
Another thing, and I would tell myself, always try to meet new people, because you never know where you're going to meet the next great person in the world. Like, I met my wife by chance at a soccer camp. If I never said hi, I wouldn't have this fantastic life that I had. Who knows where I would be? So you never know where you're going to meet, like your next business partner, your next best man. You just never know. So you always try to enter your comfort zone and just say hello to as many people as possible.
Awesome. And it sounds like you're a perfect example of that. I'm still, and I don't know about you, but I can't imagine him being shy.
It's ridiculous. Really shy.
I'm going to ask Jen. Well, actually, hold on. When you were dating, how did you get from to actually dating? Like, did you like seem to be interested and she said something, or did you actually say something there? Or had you lost the shyness at that point?
Oh, I already lost. I mean, I was like 27 years old, 26. I was already the Rizzler, as they say. So she dropped with these two kids at camp who I already knew. So I knew she wasn't their mom. And I said, oh, hey kids, is this your mom? They're like, oh, like Coach Leroy, you're an idiot. And so she walked away, and all the coaches were like, "Oh, so that's how you spit game?" I was like, "Yeah, just wait." So she came back to pick up the kids, and I was like, "Hey, I'm Leroy." She's like, "I'm Jen," and then she took the kids and left. They're like, "Oh, Leroy, that's how it's really done." I'm like, "Tomorrow, new day." So she dropped off the next day, and I was like, "Hey, Jen, you remember my name?" She goes, "No." Her face turned real red. She's like, "You remember my name?" And the kids were like, "She just said Jen," and then she just turned and walked away. I was like, "You know what? She has a boyfriend in the car who's gonna just beat me up." Like I could just tell she's not giving me any attention. So she came to pick up, and she came as she was leaving. I said, "Hey Jen," it's like mybikeonline.com. That was the name of my website for my bike company. She just came turned and gave me like a weird look, and then she came back. Came in at 3:00, so she came back at like 2:45. I was like, "Oh, your website, that's so cool. You have your own business. Like my dad has his own landscaping company." And we started talking. And then she came at like 2:30, then 2, then 1, and she came earlier and earlier. We talked longer and longer, and then the last day of camp, we're at Brooklyn High School, right in the middle of the grass soccer field, and I was proverbially naked. I had no pen, no paper, no nothing. And I was like, I'm not gonna see this nanny ever again. I need her phone number. So I was like, Jen, like I had, for my bike company, I fixed bikes at people's houses, and she lived in the Navy Yard in Charleston. I'm like, Jen, I have to fix a bike in the Navy Yard tonight. Can I call you if I'm done early? She's like, oh yeah, that'd be great. And she's like, dude, you're gonna take down my number? This is like T9 texting days. I was like, yeah. She's like, do you have a pen? I was like, no, I don't remember it. And she's like, 413, she told me her number. And so I was like, all right, I got it. She goes, okay. So I'm home playing FIFA. You know, TV's on top of a milk crate because that's how I roll.
The Rizzler had the whole setup with the TV.
And so I take out my phone. I'm like, let me text this Nan. I'm like, hey, Jen, finishing up the bike. And she goes, oh, come over. I'm baking cookies. So I take a shower. I throw on my bike uniform. I speed out to Charlestown from Boston. And I'm like, finish the bike. I'm downstairs. She's like, come on up. And I go up, and she's like in this duplex condo. I'm like, how does she have? Like, who is this royalty? She's making cookies, smells great. And that's how we started dating. So we haven't been separated since that day.
That's freaking awesome, man. The Rizzler, he said. I love it. I love it. So I gotta tell you, like, so I should have been hanging out with you, bro, because I had no game. Jen and I met on Lansdowne Street, and at the time I'm 5 years older than her, but so long-winded to say I stalked her in the club. I wouldn't go Avalon.
Okay.
So here's what I got. So cool story. I was actually just wondering about that because when you were talking about it earlier, I was like, man, that's got to be really awesome to see like how you were able to pivot. But your life story is tied into Viking as well, right? In so many ways because you're working there, you meet your wife, and you have beautiful kids, you make a family at home, etc. It's huge. So I got 3 nuggets. I think those are awesome. What I want to close with now is. So Leroy, we're in your space. You've invited us in. You told us a lot of great stuff about your life. I learned some nuggets about entrepreneurship, even some nuggets for me to bring back to my own team and the way I interact with them. Like, I love the directness of like, what, 5 years later, you're still here? Why don't you start your own thing, right? I work with the different people in different aspects of their life, but I just think that's such a powerful thing. You're looking to build the next, as opposed to like, no, stay with me. If I said to you, thinking about, or imagine if you had a canvas, and we'll just say that wall right there is the canvas, and you get a chance to put on that canvas, paint items on it if you want, whatever you want to, however you want to do it, but it showcases your life on a canvas. What are the things that you would say are on your life canvas? What are those things that would be on yours that would tell everybody who Leroy Watkins really is?
So the canvas, in the middle of it, it'd be the 3 kids, my wife, we'd be in the middle of this canvas with a nice sunset in the back. And then there'd be some grandbabies at some point coming here. And then people who I have helped find success. I don't know what success, personal success, whatever that may be for them. And then on the other side is vacations, travel, Hawaii, cool islands, that kind of stuff. And then in the top, I had a puppy, passed away a bunch of years ago. But just like my puppy always lives with me. And I love dogs. So it'd be like some dogs just running around.
Awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff. I'm so glad I got a chance to come and hang, man. I mean, I'm thankful that you brought us in your space. Talk about learning a lot. You can live right down the street from people and be like, oh, that's the Viking sports guy. And now I'm like, I know a lot more about Viking sports. I think there's a collaborative opportunity in our work that we should have as well. And especially based on your energy of like what you're trying to do. And then lastly, I just say, just in the sense of if there's anything that we can do from a live canvas standpoint to support the work you're doing, but also, like you said, that next generation is huge. A live canvas, we're about showcasing the real you. We say that we like to tell people stories, but so that those stories can be leveraged. And we just thank you for allowing us to hang out with you, man, and learn all the nuggets and share the stuff you share with us. So thank you. And everybody, this is Leroy Watkins, Live Canvas family. Thank you for joining us. He has told us his story. We've been able to peel back the onion a little bit. Take a look at him. And by the way, Leroy, maybe as a closing point, you get the last words. How do people find you? How do folks find your organization? And do you have any nuggets, anything coming up you want to tell people about that we can help promote, or things you might want people to know?
Viking Sports MA on Instagram is the best way to find us. VikingCamps.com on the internet. You can always find me personally by just Googling Leroy Watkins or Viking Sports. We always have camps, events, clinics. and learn all about that on my website or social media.